Hey yo guys, time for me to give you a video here, on the world of mixed martial arts as I'm trying to broaden my channel. And we're going to be talking about today Elite XC and Kimbo Slice. Because ever since the May 31st card on CBS, the first Saturday Night Fight card, which was a raving success, come on, I got a 2.6 rating, and the ratings kept growing, and like I said, 2.6 rating, that's very unheard of for any debut show. And everyone was saying this company could be viable competition for the UFC. But ever since then, they've been going through some serious trouble here, as they canceled their September 20th card on Showtime, which was mainly because they didn't have a card set up for a rapidly approaching card on Showtime, and it was canceled mainly due to Showtime. Showtime was like, Elite XC, we can't have you guys on here. You guys gave us a .7 with production on CBS, the last CBS Saturday Night Fight card, which got, like I said, that .7 rating, the lowest that they've got since the show debuted on Showtime. They also canceled the Cage Rage series, Contenders series, so a couple days before in England, and that's never good in the world of any business, canceling a show that close to it actually happening. Hopefully the fans got some refunds here, but really, that's just bad business. Also, they've been struggling, money-wise. I mean, they're struggling just to raise $3 million, and ever since they've debuted back in early 2007, they've lost up to $30 million. So, they're going back here on CBS on October the 4th, and this card may be more important than the first one from May 31st. This is just going to be so important for the company. They're putting their two big draws on there in Kimbo Slice and Carano. We all know about Gina Carano here. She's the most successful, most noticeable female MMA fighter, and her being on American Gladiators does help a lot. And she's going to be taking on Kelly Cobalt Gavin, who's got a record of 16-2 and should make for a good fight. But let's mainly focus here on Kimbo. Kimbo Slice, we all know about him from his street fighting days, his YouTube videos, and now he's got a commercial with Nike with San Charger running back LaDainian Tomlinson. That's all well and good. But, Kimbo, you're 34 years old, you're very inexperienced, and you had trouble knocking off James the Colossus Thompson, who, no disrespect to James Thompson, is not the greatest fighter in the world, and if you can't beat someone like that, your career may not last that long. And, Kimbo is the main draw for this promotion, and I think they're putting a little bit too much pressure on here, who, as I stated, is very inexperienced. The only guy I think who could help ease some of the pressure off Kimbo is Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz, ever since getting released from UFC, he was apparently considering moving up to heavyweight to have a super huge drawing fight with Kimbo, but Elite XC, since they have these big money woes, cannot afford him, and even the high-spending Affliction promotion cannot even afford to sign the deal with Tito, and there is even rumor going around that Tito may resign with the UFC due to them being able to match his asking price, which, that's another video, but, that just goes to show that, maybe Tito's overpriced himself out of the market here, but, he would have been great for Elite XC just to help get ease the pressure with Kimbo. Not only that, but the company has lost a lot of faces in the, business side. They lost, their public face of their company, Gary Shaw, who, without Gary Shaw, you would not have gotten on Showtime. Let's face it, Gary Shaw is one of the most respected boxing promoters in the world, and, he's always been on there with Showbox and Showtime Boxing, and, without him, he was the one that got them there, because Showtime was interested in going with the UFC on there. Things didn't work out and stuff like that, so they went with Gary, and Gary brought them on there. So that's big there. They also lost Doug DeLuca, who was, I believe, the matchmaker for them. And, DeLuca made some very interesting points out here that, see, even with the exposure of network television, Elite XC cannot survive just on TV. The only way they're going to be able to survive is pay-per-view. And, that's going to be tough going because, let's just go back to the TV point here. CBS, they're going to charge you a lot just to run a show. UFC was even in talks with CBS as well as Showtime, but they were in talks with CBS so much to the point they even almost signed a deal. But the terms of the deal, the UFC felt it's not in our best interest because CBS, they're going to charge you $1 million in stock just to air it every time it goes. And, there's also the smaller fees, like or commercials and other stuff like that. They got to go into that. So UFC decided to back out, go on Spike, which has better deals for them. And you know, now it's going to the pay-per-view. It's going to be tough for Elite XC to succeed on pay-per-view. I mean, yeah, you got your two big draws, and the only way you can really have Kimbo be successful on there is if you have him face, you know, people who are past their prime, like Ken Shamrock or Don Fry, for sake. I mean, I don't see them doing that well, especially to the fact that UFC, they're running monthly pay-per-views that have at least some fight you may want to see. With the exception this year of UFC 85, there's been something on every card that you have to see. And I don't know if Elite XC can be successful on pay-per-view in that aspect. The only company that has been successful on pay-per-view is the UFC. They've been financially very well. I mean, if you look at other promotions that have been on there, Affliction just got on there. That was apparently, you know, they did good, but, you know, they spent a lot of money to go on there. Yama Pit Fighting this year had another pay-per-view, but, you know, that was a bomb, not only production-wise, but we haven't even heard of them since then. So they're going to need hope and hell to work on pay-per-view. Let's just really go back here now. With the July 26th, which was the second installment of the Elite XC on CBS series here, they were all trying to push better fights and better action all around. That didn't happen because you decided to more focus on the hardcores. You didn't have a big draw on there. Also, you did some stupid business moves. Like, one, you did not highlight a fight that could have elevated ratings. You did not set up a KJ Noons or Nick Diaz title fight. Now, granted, what's happening now with them, I'm not even going to consider because different timing here, but if you'd run that and you maybe had a fight, people would have been interested because drama between people, it draws people to see the show. Also, you had the crowning of your first heavyweight champion of the world with Antonio Bigfoot Silva versus Justin Eilers. Now, why did this on Showtime? I mean, people want to see, you know, some undercard action on maybe, but you save your big fights for your big show on CBS. And, you know, their main fight, highlighted fight on that card was Scott Smith versus Robbie Lawler for the middleweight title. Yeah, I mean, you may have had some people who watched the first show can't tune into the second show, but that's mainly the hardcore audience. We're talking, you gotta get the casual fan who make the difference in any realm you go. Whether you go boxing, mixed martial arts, pro wrestling, anything. I mean, look at the NFL. The Super Bowl is such a high-rated event because it's perceived as the biggest game of the year. You get so many people who don't even give a fuck about football, and they will watch that. You gotta take that realm into the aspect, and they didn't. They promoted the hardcore fans. That never, ever works. And then now, I mean, it really wasn't just Elite XC. Let's look at WEC. They had a fight the night after CBS's first show, and you know, it was a booming success for the Versus Network. I got like a 1.4 for the Uriah Favored Jens Pulver fight, which, you know, all in all was a great fight and all, but still, it had a big name and a big draw, and it worked. They had another card, WC 35, a couple weeks ago. You know, it got the regular 0.5 rating, but this just goes to show that you gotta have you either have to have a big draw in a fight or two guys who, you know, really, really hate each other to get it to work. That's what sells in fighting, and they're not learning about that. So they're hoping now that Kimbo and Carano can go on there. Kimbo doesn't even have an opponent. Hopefully you can get him Brett Rogers and show the footage that happened after the press conference on the first show, because that's going to draw some things there. Brett Rogers has said some derogatory comments about Kimbo. It's people in there, and then you can maybe set up Kimbo to be your future heavyweight champion. Now, since you have Bigfoot Silva and the steroid thing, may have to strip him of the title. And you know, if you want him to go on, I mean, like, you can't have Kimbo up against any top competition yet because he will go down. But anyways, that's really it for me. So hopefully you guys do support, and hopefully, you know, Elite XC gets their heads out their asses here and get a good. Hopefully they can get a strong rating. They got one more deal left with CBS after this, and we'll see where they're going. And now, oh man, also, they're going to now have to depend so much on Kimbo because we're getting into the fall season. You got college football, you got frickin' the NFL starting up. They're going to have NFL on Thursdays and Saturdays on the NFL Network, and you got hockey and stuff coming back. Come on, they're going to have to do some serious competition here. So they're going to need to get some crossover from the guys watching that college game on the Saturday to there. But anyways, that's it for me. I'm out. Peace.